It's normal for an older adult to forget where they put their keys, look all over for their glasses, then realize they're wearing them, or have trouble remembering someone's name. But there comes a time when memory loss can be really scary and concerning. So here are 10 warning signs to let you know that you might want to start the conversation with your loved one about memory loss and make an appointment with their doctor for further evaluation. I'm Dr. Regina Kett. I'm a board-certified clinical psychologist and I specialize with older adults and families. I created the Psychology of Aging podcast to answer some of the most common questions I get about aging. Questions about mental health and wellness, changes in the brain like with dementia, relationships and sex, caregiving, and even end of life. Like I say in my therapy groups, no topic is off topic. We just have to have a healthy way of talking about it. So if you're an older adult or caring for one, you're in the right place. Let's get started. As we get started, I wanted to share with you a memory loss guide that I made just for you. In it, there's a checklist of the warning signs that I'm going to talk about today. It also tells you what you need to do if you're worried that your older loved one might have memory loss, and the benefits of an early diagnosis of dementia. Let me just also start by saying memory loss does not equal dementia. Not everybody with memory loss has dementia. So head on over to my show notes and download the free memory loss guide. You're going to learn a lot more there, and I highly recommend it. Okay, so let's dive into the 10 memory loss warning signs. So there are common changes with the brain that come with aging, and then there are changes with the brain that are not normal parts of aging. And let me just say, dementia is not a normal part of aging. And I want you to repeat that. Dementia is not a normal part of aging. Just because somebody has memory loss doesn't mean that a person has dementia, but sometimes memory loss can indicate dementia. So I am going to review the 10 must-know memory loss warning signs so that if any of these are showing up in your loved one or in yourself, you'll know that you want to get them checked out with your doctor. So the first memory loss warning sign is memory loss. So sometimes what's normal is sometimes forgetting names or appointments or where you put your keys. But what's less normal and more concerning is forgetting information that you just learned. So this could include forgetting important dates or events or asking for the same information over and over and over and needing to rely on family members or memory aids for things that you used to be able to handle on your own. So here's an example. So say there's a mother-daughter, right? And the daughter says, "Mom, we're going to go to a doctor's appointment today. You've met her before. You've met this doctor before. Her name is Dr. Patel." And your mom says, "Well, Dr. Patel, I don't remember meeting Dr. Patel." "Mom, you remember Dr. Patel. She's your primary care doctor." And then your mom says, "Oh, that's right. She's at the Midtown Medical Center and she just had a baby. I remember her now." Okay, that's typical. That's normal. That's not necessarily concerning. What is more concerning is if the conversation goes like this. "Mom, we're going to go to a doctor's appointment today. You've met this doctor before. Her name is Dr. Patel." Then 5 minutes later, "Okay, Mom, are you ready to go?" And then the mom says, "What do you mean, am I ready to go? Go where?" "Mom, I just told you that we're going to the doctor today." "You never told me that." "Yes, I told you that we're going to see Dr. Patel." "Dr. Patel, I don't know any Dr. Patel." So that's more concerning because you had just told your mom that you're going to be going to the doctor. She learned that new information, and then 5 minutes later, she has no clue what you're talking about. That is more concerning for memory loss. You want to get that checked out. Number 2, challenges in planning or problem solving. What's normal is making occasional errors when balancing a checkbook. What's not as typical or normal is, say your loved one was an accountant or a bookkeeper, and is now having trouble paying the bills or filing taxes. So that is more concerning. So challenges in planning or problem solving. So this could also show up as like maybe your loved one was a really good cook or a baker, and now they're having trouble following a familiar recipe or something like that. All right, number 3, difficulty completing familiar tasks at home, at work, or at leisure. So what's typical and not necessarily concerning is occasionally needing help to use settings on a microwave or record a TV show. What's less typical and what is indeed more concerning is that, say, your loved one goes shopping at the same grocery store, for the past 10 years. And all of a sudden, your loved one is getting lost driving home from this grocery store. So that is more concerning, that they're having more difficulty completing a familiar task. All right, number 4, confusion with time and place. So this is kind of like a hallmark dementia symptom, right? Like the person is remembering things from the past and talking as if they're currently happening. So, for example, you might be in the middle of a conversation and your loved one chimes in with a story about an event in their young adulthood with old friends and family, as if this event just took place today, and then continues the conversation as if it's the conversation from 50 years ago. That is more concerning. So confusion with time and place. What's more concerning is when somebody loses track of dates and seasons and the passage of time. Sometimes the person might forget where they are or how they got there. That is more concerning for significant memory loss or a condition causing significant memory loss like dementia. So you'll definitely want to get that checked out as well. Number 5 is trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships. So what's normal is older adults often experience cataracts or glaucoma, and those can get corrected, right? But what's not as normal, especially so with dementia, one of the symptoms of dementia doesn't happen for everybody, but it happens for some people with dementia, especially Alzheimer's disease, is having vision problems. So maybe they are having more trouble reading and writing and judging distance or determining colors. And all of these vision changes, as you can imagine, could also cause problems with driving. Vision changes could be indicative of so many conditions, like macular degeneration or cataracts or glaucoma, like I was just talking about. But if those are ruled out and there's still some challenges with visual images or spatial relationships or reading and writing, you might want to talk about that further with your primary care doctor and do a cognitive screening. So I have an interview with Lauren Dykovitz, who cared for her mom for 10 years who had Alzheimer's disease. One of the early signs that her mom was showing of Alzheimer's disease was changes in her vision. And so if you want to learn more about that, I'll link to my interview with Lauren Dykovitz about her mom's journey with Alzheimer's disease. And also she talks a lot about how it started. So I'll link to that in my show notes, and that gives a great example of what early symptoms can look like. And she had early onset Alzheimer's disease, which I think she was diagnosed at 62 or 65, and she was very young. Okay, similar to visual and spatial relationships, another, number 6, memory loss warning sign, are new problems with words and speaking or writing. So sometimes it's pretty typical for older adults to have trouble finding the right word, or you might hear them say, it's on the tip of my tongue, give me a minute, but then they can retrieve the word, they can find it. This happens to me too, especially if I haven't slept well the night before, or I'm super stressed. My brain gets more jumbled up. What's more concerning for a cognitive disorder or a dementia disorder or significant memory loss is trouble following or joining a conversation. So the person might stop in the middle of the conversation and have no idea how to continue, or they might repeat themselves. Maybe the person struggles with vocabulary and has problems finding the right word or calling things by the right name. And of course, what's so challenging with all the changes that are happening or that are pretty typical in older bodies is that if the person has hearing impairment, that might contribute to this difficulty with conversation. So we really want to encourage our loved ones to make sure that they have adequate hearing and adequate hearing tests and hearing aids if they're willing to pursue that. But if that is all ruled out and they're still having challenges, you definitely want to get that checked out for memory loss. Number 7 memory loss warning sign is misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace your steps. So what's typical and not necessarily concerning is a person will misplace things from time to time and then retrace their steps to find them. I mean, raise your hand if you've done that. I do that multiple times a week. My sunglasses, my keys, my brain. I am constantly misplacing things. Don't judge. What's more concerning for memory loss or cognitive changes is that a person with a dementia disorder may put things in unusual places, like a box of Kleenex in the refrigerator. They might lose things and be able to go back over their steps to find them again. Sometimes your loved one might accuse others of stealing from them. And maybe you're noticing this occur more and more often over time. So that's something you'll want to get checked out with from a primary care provider as well. Number 8 is decreased or poor judgment. All of us make bad decisions or poor decisions, or maybe not the healthiest decision every once in a while. A couple of times I've worked with older adults who do not have any cognitive disorder, but maybe made a bad decision like buying a new car when they didn't really need one. Maybe it wasn't the most financially responsible decision, but they're entitled to make a decision using poor judgment, right? What's more concerning for memory loss or a dementia disorder are problematic decisions related to poor judgment. So, for example, I have many folks who I work with who will be indiscriminate online with who they share their personal information with, like to telemarketers or sweepstakes or buying lots and lots of supplements, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of supplements. They also might use poor judgment related to their grooming. So they may be physically able to do their own grooming, but cognitively are paying less attention to grooming or keeping themselves clean. All right, number 9. The number 9 memory loss warning sign is withdrawal from work and activities. So what's typical is that sometimes we all need a break from work and social obligations. What's more concerning, though, is that when somebody with cognitive changes might start to remove themselves from their hobbies or social activities or other engagements, and then they might have trouble keeping up with what their friends are doing or their favorite sports team or remembering how to play cards, and especially if that was like one of their favorite activities. What I often see in my practice is people becoming less social when they used to be social butterflies, but less social because of changes that are happening. So what I notice with a lot of folks that I work with is that, especially when there's the beginning of a dementia disorder or cognitive disorder, is that they'll be less talkative with others. They'll trust themselves less. They'll have experience less self-confidence. They'll be worried that maybe they're going to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, and so kind of keep quiet. Maybe there's some recognition that they're not keeping up in conversation, and that can be overwhelming or overstimulating. And so as a result, the person might withdraw from activities. And so that's a warning sign as well. And coupled with that is number 10, which are changes in mood and personality. And so what's tricky is number 9 and number 10, withdrawal from social activities or changes in mood and personality. These could be due to a mental health condition, which could be very treatable in older adults. But this is where assessment and evaluation by a professional comes in, is that we really need to look and see, can we treat this? And of course, if we can treat it, we want to treat it. And I'll also say depression is not a normal part of aging as well. So if you're noticing changes in mood and personality, please get them checked out, because if it's depression or anxiety, we can help with that. Or insomnia, we can help with that. There are very good treatments, talk therapy, antidepressants, which can help. Okay, so let me go back to talking a little bit more about changes in mood and personality. What is typical or normal is, becoming irritable or frustrated from time to time. What is less typical and more concerning, though, is that the mood and the personality of the person might start to change, and you could start to notice that. They might become more confused or suspicious or depressed or scared or anxious. They might become more hypervigilant and very watchful. They might be easily upset at home or at work or with friends or in places where they're out of their comfort zone. Maybe you notice anxiety on the road, like with road rage, and maybe they loved driving before. So if you're noticing any of these signs, you'll definitely want to get them checked out, because as I mentioned before, if it's depression, anxiety, insomnia, there are excellent treatments for older adults that are very effective. And once that gets treated, if the cognitive issues or the memory loss maintains, then that is something more concerning for a dementia disorder. So we definitely want to get that checked out. So those are the 10 must-know memory loss warning signs. If you checked off any of those, or you're concerned that your older loved one has memory loss, please get them connected with their doctor for further evaluation. You don't have to remember these either. I have an excellent and free memory loss guide that will help you. It actually has the checklist of all of the warning signs I listed today. It gives you information about what to do if you're worried that your older loved one might have memory loss, and what the benefits are of early detection of a dementia disorder. So please head on over to my show notes and download that now. And then join me next week, where I'm going to dive deeper into what to do if your loved one is exhibiting these memory loss warning signs. All right. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Subscriptions and reviews help people to find this show. I think you've probably heard me say this before, but I'm going to say it again and again and again, because here's why subscribing and leaving a review is so important. Older adults and their families are often left out of the conversation when it comes to mental health and wellness. So do your part to include them by subscribing and leaving a review. When you subscribe and leave a review, it helps people to find this show and my resources. And the whole point of it is so people don't have to do this alone, and will know what's typical with aging, what's more concerning, when should I be checking in at the doctor, and what should I be expecting from the doctor. All sorts of things like that. As always, the information shared in this episode is for educational purposes only and should not take the place of licensed medical or mental health care. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Lots of love to you and your family. Bye for now. Lena, do you think aging is scary?
No,
No? Why not?
because it makes us happy.
Aging makes us happy?
Yeah, I want to be bigger and taller.